Okay, so this is gonna be real brief. This is a Edelbrock Victor 2 manifold for the 3-gen Hemis. This is going on my Dodge Durango 2015 RT with my supercharger. Just real quick, some of the things that I bought. It's not going to be just the easy slap on. There's some things that you have to take into consideration. This right here, I just purchased. This right here, I just purchased the Hellcat throttle body. It's the Hellcat stock throttle body that's on there. I also got an 85 millimeter throttle body that's on my stock manifold, which is on my car right now. Of course, this is a 92 millimeter throttle body. I also went with the Aeromotive fuel pressure gauge currently, which is the best out. I know they was having some issues with the fluid inside the gauge because when it gets hot, it changes the reading in the gauge. So I actually did my homework on that, and they said this is the best gauge to go with. It has a release valve on top to release the air within the mechanism itself, so you can get an accurate reading. Being that I already have the supercharger on there, I had to change my injectors. Okay, so the issues with this manifold, you have to use the stock injectors. On a 5.7, this defeats the purpose unless you spraying or you got or supercharged or turbocharged. So I had to use different injectors. The injectors I chose to use was Deechworks because they are OEM size of the stock fuel injectors. The stock fuel injectors that's on the Dodge Durango is the same stock injectors that's on the Charger and Challenger RT, because they're both 5.7. Also, Edelbrock claimed this intake manifold is not for trucks. Nowhere in the paperwork does it say for Dodge Durangos. It says for Rams, but it don't say for Dodge Durangos. So previous to this, I tried to put this manifold on, and it doesn't click into the fuel line. The fuel line is on the right side, which is the driver's side. It's a steel hose that will not fit. The hose that's included into the box, the silver steel braided line, it will not click in. The reason it will not click in is because the steel braided line that they provide is a 3/8. The one that's on the Durango is the 5/16. So let me show you. This is the 3/8. Now they have these in this kind of form. They have the plastic ones, which I don't really like. Sorry, I'm trying to do too many things at one time. So this right here, this is the 5/16. It goes into your factory fuel line. I'm trying to do this with one hand. Okay, so this goes underneath the ring. That's on that quick connect. This goes underneath the ring, and then this top goes on top of that, like that, and just screws in. You can get all of this stuff from Amazon, which I have done, just to get everything situated. So, like I was mentioning before, I don't use these plastic ones. I don't know where the fuel pressure is going. I don't know if we're going up with it. Most likely we are, because I'm not going to stop. So these plastic ones, they say that you're supposed to take the plastic out, put it on the fitting, and then slide this on top. Now, it may feel like it's on, but it may not be on. So when you start up your motor and these are on, it may not be an issue. But when you go give it throttle, whether you racing, drag strip, wherever you at, this shit can fly off. Once it flies off, you can imagine what's going to happen next. These EFI Gen 3 Hemis, from what I understand, creates about 45 PSI. You don't want that shit popping off in the middle of nowhere. So my suggestion is to get the one I have where it doesn't come with the plastic. Also, what else? Underneath you have the regular grommets where you can just order the gasket. You can throw the gaskets on the underside of it, which is pretty simple. I also went online and bought a new U-bend. The U-bend that's supplied in the kit is different because it still utilizes the quick connect. This is the feed line that's going to the main line in the car. Like I mentioned, that's a quick connect. I don't want a quick connect because I can't connect it to the actual main line. So what I did was I went online, I bought a braided steel line that can take multiple gasoline, petrol, E85 race gas, and I bought that to like, I think it's like 10 feet if you can look at it. There's also a tool, a hose cutting tool, which is this right here. I'm going to use this to cut it to length and clip it. I got fittings that go right on there. You can look online and see exactly how the fittings go. The fittings is real simple. You push it on. There's a bolt that screws in the middle that makes it tight. You can tug on it a few times just to make sure it won't come off. These injectors here is 750cc injectors. These are the injectors right here. I decided to go with because, again, on their website, they state that they are OEM size. So you don't never have a problem with using those or anything that takes an OEM size injector. These fuel rails take OEM size injectors. So if you have any other injectors besides OEM, it's not going to work. It's not going to work unless you take this fuel rail off. I've heard of some people doing it. They bore out where the fuel injector goes. They bore it out a little bit with a drill press. Not doing that. I'm not destroying it. Yes, you got to pay a little extra. Some people may want to go that route. Some people don't. I didn't go that route, and I bought these injectors. Yes, these injectors are a decent amount of money. I paid $622 for these injectors. They 750cc injectors. I got more than enough room to grow. If you go to DeechWorks website, you can also look at the tech portion of it, and they have like a calculator. So whatever is your, goal as far as horsepower, you input that, and you also can input whether it's E85, race gas, 93, and they'll tell you what size injectors you should be getting. If you look at it, the way this sits is a little awkward. So like I mentioned, yes, these are stock injectors, but the way this fuel rail mounts up is a little unorthodox, to me at least. They have these black spacers that go on it. I don't typically like the spacers. I don't typically like the fuel. The fuel rail is a beautiful fuel rail. I just don't like the mounting up portion of it. What else? If you're going with the 92 millimeter throttle body, which is the stock Hellcat throttle body, which you can get online for $200. Easy peasy, got that. I don't need no BBK. I don't need no fancy throttle body. This throttle body is going to do well for what I need for it to do. Right now, I'm planning on pushing 10 pounds of boost in here. It's a centrifugal force supercharger. So you got positive displacement. I also bought this, my intake piping for my not intake manifold. My intercooler manifold is 3.5. As you see, the Hellcat throttle body is bigger than that. I'm trying to do this with one hand. Okay. So I bought this also from Amazon. I bought my T-bolt clamp, which is obviously not the right size, but I'll buy a bigger one. This right here, I believe, is 92 to 100 millimeter T-bolt clamp. I need bigger. I don't really want to chance it. I'd rather go 116 or either 1.8 or 108 millimeter and see how that does. You can get that from Amazon as well. Everything I've done so far has basically been from Amazon. To be honest with you, I can't really price everything out. I threw that on there just for shits and giggles with the bin. The extension I got from the actual fuel rail to make this AN6. I also made like a the purchase that I bought has like a tap in for the pressure, fuel pressure. So everything is about done. I need to get the I already have it. I'm gonna reuse the silver stainless steel line that goes in between both fuel rails, which is this. This is supplied in the kit. So, I mean, only thing it's doing is really connecting both fuel rails. So there's really no reason to not use it. Other than that, that's about it. Also, if you're going to be reusing or you're going to be using the Quick Connect, you want to go online and look for these. I forgot the name of them, so I'm not even going to lie to you. But I also got this from Amazon, and you can use that to release the Quick Connects. It slides in right over the piece, right over the pipe, and just push it up, and it'll release the holes. You can look for those on Amazon as well. So as this sits, I'm ready to go. The issue lies, or another part of this issue, is that being that I'm not using the fuel injectors that was originally tuned with the manifold that I have now, is that now you have to get new injectors. Now, depending on who you tune with, some tuners may be uncomfortable or they don't necessarily have the know-how to remap all of your fuel. Not bashing nobody, I'm not going to mention names, but I was doing email tuning. This individual told me to get Dishworks fuel injectors, and then when I told him, probably like 2 months later, when I told him I got the Dishworks fuel injectors, he says, "Oh, well, why did you get those? I wish you'd have got the ones that I wanted you to get." And well, these are the ones you told me to get. If you look back in your email, these are the ones that you told me to get. So, I mean, just be real careful, because they will have to, depending on if they dealt with those injectors before, they probably will have to remap everything. And at that point, you would need a wideband and things like that just to make sure your AFR is on point, everything is good, your fuel levels is good, because this can potentially blow your motor. So you just want to stay on top of the tuner, or make sure you go to a tuner that knows what they're doing. Other than that, this throttle body clips right into the Gen 3. No, you cannot buy a Hellcat throttle body and expect to put it on the stock manifold. This manifold already has the holes. If you see, that one right there is for the 85 millimeter. But as you already see, these already has the holes for the Hellcat throttle body. Yes, I could have got an 87 millimeter throttle body or 85 millimeter throttle body bored out to 87 millimeter. Now, here's my issue. Being that I'm already supercharged, I'm already boosted, why do that when I can just pay $200 and get a Hellcat throttle body? At some point in time, not saying that it's not going to make power, but if you throw this on and you tune it, and let's just say the comparison between your stock manifold and this manifold with the throttle body, you lose horsepower down low and you gain it up top. It is what it is. If your goals is similar to mine's, where you're going to continue to turn up the boost, forge internals, things like that, that throttle body is going to come in handy. You know what I'm saying? You're not in competition as soon as you come out the gate. You know what I'm saying? You can gradually take steps. You don't always have to be the fastest. And this is where people get a lot of things misconstrued, because they think, okay, well, I got to have the best right then and there. If you got money, yeah, you can go ahead and do that. You can purchase the vehicle, take it to your guy, have him get pistons and rods, crankshaft. You can do all of that. But for individuals that's on a budget, you have to do things gradually. It defeats the purpose to spend $500 for a throttle body when I can spend $200 for a throttle body, and it could be somewhat comparison. Whether it's 87 millimeter or 92 millimeter. Yes, they do have some business owners where they can pour it out, the throttle body, and bore it out and all that. That's cool. But I like to go with stock. I know it works. The throttle body that I have on my vehicle now, like I mentioned before, is an 85 millimeter, but it's a BBK throttle body. For an 85 millimeter throttle body, I paid $500. I think that was excessive because it does nothing extra than a regular throttle body. Only thing that's on there is just stamped BBK on it. I would never spend that amount of money on just a regular throttle body. That's why you go 87, okay, that's cool for some. So 92 millimeter, pay half that amount of somebody paying for aftermarket 87 millimeter throttle body, and probably get somewhat either better or close, depending on your setup, to the same result. So that's not an issue, for me at least. Everything else is pretty simple. Like I mentioned before, the setup is different from a Challenger to the Dodge Durango. The connection for the main line is different. So again, like I said, you can either do the plastic 5/16 or you can do the screw-in 5/16. I'd rather do the screw-in 5/16 rather than the plastic. Again, injectors, if you have injectors that's not stock injectors, it's not going to work. It only takes stock style injectors. These work on their website. Say they take stock style injectors, same measurements, same height, and everything. So I don't have no issue with that. Man on the fuel rail, everything before it gets installed, I'm probably going to put everything on there. Only thing that's not going to be on there is probably the 3-bar map sensor, because that's on the stock manifold. Everything else should be lift up and go. Put this other fuel rail on the opposite side with the injectors. Put the silver steel braided lines from fuel rail to fuel rail. And that's it. The only thing I'm switching over, again, is my 3-bar map sensor, which goes in the back. My brake line, which goes in the back. My cap for my fuel. Cap for my oil. And that's it. So I don't have to worry about disassembling everything from my stock intake manifold. I'm going to take out the bolts that goes on top to hold the intake manifold down. And then I'm just going to place this there. And screw that in. And be done. If you want, you can be extra cautious, which of course you should. Get the thread locker bolt. Put some of that blue on there. Tighten it down to spec. And you should be good to go. If you have any questions about this intake manifold, because I done ran into everything I can actually think of with this manifold. If you have any questions, just put it down in the comments below. And I'm going to try to keep you guys updated. As far as the tuner is concerned, I might go to either Hemi, I forgot his name, but the shop is called True Street Performance in Long Island, or I might go to Genetti Racing, which is in Connecticut. Either one of them, at that point, I would probably put this manifold on at that point, because as it stands right now, I can't drive it without a map for these new injectors. So I would drive my car over there as is, swap it out, and let them tune it, let them do what they got to do. At that point, we should be good to go. And if I could, I'll do video of the install and show you video of the dyno run. All right. Any questions, like I said, just throw them in the comments. I'll answer them as much as I possibly can. All right.